Death Row Record. No, he got a Death Row Record, an allotment. Did you text? In the book Labyrinth, they do got the receipt and all the checks that Kevin Gaines got. It's a fact.
A check from Death Row?
Death Row Record. No, he got a Death Row Record, an allotment from Suge Knight, $10,000. Several of them was found in his gym bag and in his locker. That's what you're going to see in the movie when it's released. I promise you. I can't swear to God, but I wish I could. But I promise you, you can see it. In fact, I'm going to post it. Now that you said it, I'm going to let you see it. $10,000 to Kevin Gaines. Sharitha gave it to him. An allotment from Suge Knight.
Well, that's come from Nightlife Management or something.
No, it says Death Row Record.
Okay, hold on. You can hear me calling, and I'm about to ask about that. Hold on.
Okay.
Just listen. Don't say nothing.
All right.
What's going on?
Oh, man.
Yeah, I just want to ask you, somebody's about to do a story, and they're going to say it's going to be in the movie, too,
Can you give me like 10 minutes? I'm in the shower.
Okay, I just want to ask you one question, though, right quick. One question.
Wait, hold on. Let me turn closer to the phone.
All right, take a picture of that, too.
I can't hear you, so let me blow my hands. Wait a minute.
All right.
Okay, now what you say?
I said take a picture of that scene, too. I'm messing with you.
You don't want to see this?
I know I don't. I tell you every time you get mad when I say I don't want to see that.
You don't want to see it?
But anyway, right quick, Big Bro. I want to tell you, Kevin Gaines. Did you ever cut him some checks or something like that from Death Row Records? I know you ain't paid for Death Row Records, but you might have got some Nightlife.
He's
$10,000?
No.
They got something where they trying to say that they got pictures of check stubs and stuff like that from Death Row Records.
No. Never.
Okay. What about the Nightlife?
Nope.
What about the Nightlife?
Nope.
Well, no, they killed this shit, bro. Because I want to make sure they would have killed you, me, and everybody else if he knew.
No.
You cannot check that.
I'm a whole lot of things. But I ain't that scammer.
Yeah, he would kill your ass.
They lying. Why would I want a paper trail when I never brought him around nowhere?
Exactly. That's what I was like.
So if I'm gonna hide him in secret, you think I'm gonna let somebody catch a paper trail? Even when he worked with, and I don't even think he's the one that worked. He got his friends to do it. They were paid cash by Snoop.
Yeah.
So no, there's no reason. There's not for those $10,000. That's a made up shit.
Well,
Not that I'm aware of. No, not unless it was that whole other thing.
Yeah,
and it wouldn't have been from Death Row.
But that would have been later. That would have been to you. It would have been to.
It would have been.
I would have had a message to you.
It would have been out of my personal check. And furthermore, I was with Cantron and them, and they wouldn't have given no check.
Exactly.
No. So it would have had to be out of my.
I wonder if Cantron and Keenan was paying that nigga. Did we hear something about they supposed to do some comments?
They wasn't paying him.
Yeah.
You're digging way too deep. He wasn't even like that, trust me. And first of all, we broke up for a whole goddamn on year. And nobody never knew that.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, well, I just wonder where they getting this from.
I don't know. They lying. Tell them to show it to you.
Yeah. Okay.
Show it to me.
Yeah, they said that they got checks.
Show it to you.
Okay.
Not let somebody else forge my name like they've been doing.
No. This was supposed to be from Death Row.
Oh, no.
I just think.
First of all, how could Death Row make him a check? What reason would they have to make him a check?
Well, they think he was working for Suge.
Well, that's a lie.
Or some shit, and I didn't even know that.
That's just all, they are fishing. They're going too far for fishing. It is no fish where they fishing.
Yeah, you're gonna be mad because that's supposed to be in the book in Labyrinth, and it's gonna be in the movie. So stand by for that. Cause that's gonna be the new conspiracy. You know that City of Lies shit I keep telling you about. That rampart, the rampart. This guy named Russell Sullivan and Russell Poole. Trying to make all this shit.
You know, they just, you know, it sounds good that way. You understand?
Yeah.
No different than when Michelle did her stuff and Straight Outta Compton did their stuff. You got to make the movie sound interesting. And that's an interesting thing. Not unless somebody forged, made up some death row checks when they did that raid on death row, got some checks to do some scandalous shit with it.
Well, no, this goes to out with his gym bag when he got killed or something.
Oh, yeah, that's a damn lie then. Okay. That's a lie. Because the reason why would he be holding on to it?
Yeah, that long.
Exactly. Why would he be holding on to it?
I never heard that.
The only thing I could come up with the 10 grand is the thing you reminded me of. And that's
I know. Yeah.
And that would have had to been out of my personal account.
Yeah.
So
let me ask you this. On that, did you ever give Norris the money, or he didn't get it?
No.
Okay.
He took the money back. I said, no, they changed their mind. They don't need it because I got a call and said, never mind.
Okay.
Never mind. And it wouldn't have been for 10 because, you know, 10 is traceable. Yeah. So it would have been either 2
under that he would have pulled out of the bank.
Yeah, you can't do that. And if he pulled anything, he pulled 9.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So if anything was pulled, it was 9. And it was death on 10 years ago.
Gotcha.
And then legal, because I was a manager at a bank. Legally, you can report anything. We can report anything, but 10 was really the number we went on and reported.
Yeah. Anything over 10.
Yeah. No, 10 even.
Yeah, I said anything 10 over.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. When I had those niggas in Memphis, I used to do 9,990 just so.
Yeah, and then they, you know, they kind of got a little flicker on that stuff, so the bank system changed, so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's why, you know, your stuff was messing up, because even that could be reported.
Yeah. No, my shit was a phone call.
So no, he would have gotten a check for 9. If nothing else, it would have been a check either. I don't foresee it being at a nightlife because that would have came through the accountant's office.
Yeah.
Or directly to my personal account.
Okay.
So no, if he got a check from death row and Suge was paying him, really, it was something I did not know about. And that's
what they all gonna try to say. But I know
that's not true. And that man did not know one bit of who I was. Because when they ran my license plate when I first met him, he did not know who Marion Knight was. Because it was me and Suge's name on it. He thought Marion was my mama.
Oh, when he said that to you?
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
no. So stand by, because you're going to come out with that.
It's always some stuff, and we really need to go on and sue.
I know. We got to sue somebody. That might be a good one. I guess it's really affecting him, though, not us.
Yeah, that's true. Defamation of his character, but not, it don't really be defamation of his character.
Yeah.
But, I don't know. We got to figure out something, because I'm about sick of those people.
Yeah.
It's just too many lies, and you can only say what you want to say. I mean, it's dead.
He's dead, yeah.
Say what you want to say. He did.
Well, I guess they said that before he died, though. And no, he was dead. But I guess that's been out there.
They never, let me tell you, the day he died, they did not mention death row to me.
They didn't talk about that.
They never one time Reggie Death Row came up. The only thing they said when he died was the fact that he had a receipt from Monty's, which he did, for, I think it was $3,000, but he didn't pay that. Kim Brown and Pamela did.
Oh, okay.
He helped pay that. He helped give me a dinner party with them 3, and they gave him the money, and he put it on his credit card.
Oh, they gave him the cash. Okay.
They gave him the cash, and he put it on his credit card. That's the only thing that they have from a receipt from him. Another receipt, we went to Jamaica. That's it.
Yeah.
And matter of fact, they don't have no receipt from that because I did it all through my name. He gave me cash.
Oh.
So that's a lie. So, no, anything you honestly want to know, just ask me, and I tell you the truth. I don't care what it is.
I know you will. I know.
That's a lie, because I made sure that I was covering my ass at the same time.
Especially after she found out about him. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
and that's what they don't understand. That's what because they do shit whatnot. They fucking with these dudes. No, they were fucking with Sharitha. Y'all got to understand.
Even when, what's her face? What is her face?
Sharitha.
Crystal made her little comment about he didn't care about what I was doing. You a damn lie, nigga.
She don't know.
Even know. She don't know.
She don't know.
Every woman. Me and him weren't even having sex together, and he cared. Come on now, that's his wife. Don't I can't say I wasn't jealous.
Yeah.
It's no way. I mean, we still had feelings for each other, but we just wasn't seeing each other. And I believe in his mind and in my mind, we were probably going to get back together. And it just after he got, and it just not. It was just too much after that. It just too much stuff started happening.
Yeah. Oh no. Once a man found out, we can cheat. We can go up elevators and stuff like that. Once we know that y'all.
I don't think so. I think I could have got him back after Kevin.
I don't think so.
It's the Greg. It's the Greg. No, it was the Greg. It was no turning back with Greg. Kevin, and then you got to think about it. Kevin died.
And it was
technically, nobody knew about the whole thing.
No, let me just say this. When y'all fucking somebody or something like that, but it's when we see it and see it and put it together.
This ninja pork butt. Oink, oink.
You know what I'm saying?
See, I got the shower ready. She want to hear that. She want to hear that. Yo, check this out. Sharitha, Keefe D, he better subpoena her. How's the connection? Is the connection okay? Dagoa, what's good? How's the connection? Is the connection okay? Is the connection okay? Okay, so if the connection is okay, I continue. Salute. So what we were saying is, Keefe D, he subpoena Sharitha Knight as a witness because Sharitha Knight, she can clear Keefe D because she knows who exactly took out those both shootings, 2Pac and Biggie, who carried them out. When you listen to that audio, I'm not sure if y'all heard it. It's ridiculous, right? When you listen to that audio, Sharitha Knight, she knows a lot of details, if not all the shootings, every shooting. We're talking about Buntry, Heron, Hen Dog. When the paperwork was out on Mom James, she was like, yo, let me get a copy of that. Okay, so earlier I did a topic on Edie Amin, and I said Edie witness, and Edie Amin, he's really not a good witness. Earlier, hold on, I did a topic on it, and hold on, can I get to that? Jeez. Expressing 304 TV, go to the live. Um, live. Um, videos. Do I got the original? Oh, the original should be in the phone. The original should be in the phone. What's he gonna do? It's the beginning. Wow. It should be inside this phone. Oh, here we go. Here we go. I want to talk about where is Malcolm? This guy right here. This guy right here. I want to talk about this guy real quick. Okay, so I said in a video a couple of days ago that Edie Amin, he's not a good witness to the Keefe trial.
Almost immediately after they made that right, white Cadillac, and then the chicks made this right here on Colton. And man, it seemed like almost immediately after they made that right, white Cadillac pulled up on the side of us. I distinctly remember looking at the Cadillac when it pulled up. At this particular time, a black arm came out of the window. And then the chicks made this right here. And man, it seemed like almost immediately after they made that right, white Cadillac pulled up on the side of us. I distinctly remember times. Everything started moving in slow motion. And man, it seemed like almost immediately after they made that right, then the chicks made this right here on Colton. And man, it seemed like almost immediately after they made that right, white Cadillac pulled up on the side of us. I distinctly remember looking at the Cadillac when it pulled up. At this came out of the window and he had a gun in his hand. He just started letting off. He was shooting so many times. Everything.
21 good salute. Now, we were saying that Idi Amin, is the connection okay? We were saying Idi Amin, his statement was wrong. He went to 5 for clout and fame, and his statement was absolutely wrong. Everybody knows that the females in the cat in the they made a right after the shots were fired. What Edie did was freestyle a scenario that didn't happen.
Almost immediately after they made that right, and then the chicks made this right here on Pole. And man, it seemed like almost immediately after they made that right, a white Cadillac pulled up on the side of us. I distinctly remember looking at the Cadillac when it pulled up. At this particular time, a black arm came out of the window and he had a gun in his hand. He just started letting off. He was shooting so many times. Everything started moving in slow motion.
21 good salute. So,
made this right.
what we were saying, this is Edie's original statement from Vegas. I took time out and what I did was I screenshot Edie's Vegas statement. There you go. So y'all can have it for the next generation. Right? This is Malcolm's statement. Right? This is Edie's statement. Making sure I get these pages. I think I did like 14, 15 pages for you guys. Get the likes up if you just tapping in. Right? Okay, so that was the pages that I got. Let's start from the beginning. If you just tapping in, what we were saying is Keefe D, he should, if he's smart, he should subpoena Sharitha Knight. If Keefe D is smart, he'll get her subpoenaed because Sharitha, not only she knows play-by-play, but she lied. She continued to lie. And even with the audio that I played earlier, there's things about Kevin Gaines, like, how does Sharitha know that whatever Russell Poole found in Kevin Gaines' gym bag, and Kevin Gaines, according to Poole, it was connected somehow to death row or, some checks, whatever. According to Sharitha, that was a lie. But how did you know? How does Sharitha Knight know exactly what's in Kevin Gaines' bag? Right? So I believe even with the 2Pac situation, Kevin Gaines, as we know, was in Vegas on a special assignment. And Kevin Gaines, that special assignment, people were saying, look, we see him in the MGM walking, right? Sharitha Knight told her bestie, Kenya Ware, whose Daz Dillinger baby mama, Sharitha Knight told Kenya Ware a bunch of lies about that night. One, she said, "Oh, Kevin is with me." No, he was. No, he's not. Sharitha Knight tells her bestie not only the lie that Kevin Gaines is with her, another lie. She tells her bestie Kenya Ware her daughter, she and Suge's daughter, was driving with 2Pac to Vegas. Why would she lie? Suge said that's a lie. His daughter never drove with him and Pac to Vegas. Why would she lie? Kenya Ware, she was under the impression that Sharitha's daughter, for 30 years, Sharitha thought, no, for 30 years, Sharitha's bestie thought, Kenya Ware thought that Suge Knight's daughter and Sharitha's daughter was driving with Pac and Suge to Vegas. Why would she lie? Sharitha Knight, as we know, she was robbing all the artists, robbing Snoop Dogg. Well, Snoop really voluntarily turned over a lot of the shit. Never talked about it, the boss's wife, right? But also, we know she was robbing Pac. But this guy right here, who's also like all of a sudden he got beef with Daz Dillinger. It's confusing. He was just on your show, and all of a sudden, Edie has issues with Daz. Now that doesn't make sense. That's some hoe ass shit. Reggie Wright Jr. fucking with Sharitha Knight, the boss's wife. That's some hoe ass shit. What these ninjas did, I'm talking about Daz and Edie. Edie is just a bad witness all around, right? Because if Daz Dillinger had issues with the dog pound and had issues, no, excuse me. If Daz Dillinger and the dog pound, which is Snoop and Corrupt, had issues with the Outlaws, including Edie, right? And then leading up to Pac's demise, his death, or if you want to say his escape, whatever you feel, leading up to September 7th, Edie knows there was issues with the dog pound and Outlaws and Pac. The case is still unsolved. Come on, somebody. Seth Shakur and Mopim Shakur, they got this private attorney out that's doing hell of a job, and instead of Edie, don't be on no 304 shit, right? A lot of these niggas on the 304 shit, right? Instead of Edie not fucking with the ops, he does the interview, clicks and views, clickbait, views, whatever. And now on internet, he's beefing with this ninja or setting the record straight. Why you ain't set the record straight when he was in your face? Right? So Edie, a lot of people is saying free Keefe D. And this is where Edie is on some 304 shit. This is where Edie, I believe, fucks up the whole Vegas case. And I don't know whose side Edie on. If Kadafi said the driver was light skinned and also the driver looked like low MB because according to Kadafi, the ninja looked like low MB from OFTB and started blasting. What Edie does, his statement puts a dark-skinned ninja who looks just like allegedly Keefe D, I guess, or Orlando Anderson. His first statement, Edie's first statement, puts a dark-skinned ninja as the shooter. Here you go. Edie puts 2 ninjas in a car, not 4, right? According to Edie, in his first statement, it was 2 ninjas in a car, not 4. Can we go back to where no puff on the replay? Yo, can y'all get the likes up? Can y'all hear me? Is everybody in the chat okay? Like, what is going on with this chat? Oh shit. Is Dagoa still here? Like, can y'all hear me? Is it on mute? Like, what is going on? Should I start the live over? Like, what is going on? I see 7 people here. What is going on with this chat? Can y'all hear me? Should I continue? I got a lot of work. Y'all know I got the work. What happened? Where y'all at? Why y'all not dropping comments? Can y'all comment? I'm here, beloved. Thank you. Caesar Hughes. All right. Yeah, Discretion 304 TV. Listen, these ninjas doing some hoe ass shit, my ninjas. All these ninjas is on some hoe ass shit. Right? So, you know. Okay. If you just tapping in, what Edie did, what Malcolm did, Malcolm cooperates with the Compton PD affidavit. That's what Edie did. And he knows that I got his bitch ass card, and he's one of the people that was, you know, the first season of Discretion, Edie Amin had a fucking problem that I called him out on his bullshit. Cause I know what Edie did, he's backing Reggie Ray Jr., Tim Brannon, Bobby Ladd. He's not only doing Reggie a favor, what Edie did is some sucker shit from day one. Right? And his first statement, right? All right, let's just make sure y'all see Edie's statement correctly. All right. All right, hold on. Okay, Brent Becker asked him, could you tell how many people were in the car? Edie answers, nope. I can only see 2 ninjas, and I couldn't even really see them. Just 2 individuals on the side where the guns coming from. So Edie only sees 2 people in the car, not 4, right? Brent Becker follows up. Could you tell what race they were? Edie replies, yeah, they were black males. Brecker follows up. Hold on, this is repeating the same. Brent Brecker follows up, and what is it you're basing your decision that there were black males? Edie follows up, I am a black male, and they look like me. Becker replies, okay, so you saw them well enough to tell they were black males? Yeah. Could you tell if they had a close cut hair? What? Becker is crazy. Could you tell if they had close cut hair? Curls or anything like that? Nope. Question. Clothing? What kind of questions is that, Becker? Nope. I see him as they were driving away after the shots were taken. Before then, I never saw them. I didn't see him until they were actually driving away. So Edie's statement, he said he never saw 2 individuals until the shots were done firing and they drove away, right? Oh, why does it keep going back? Could you tell they had close hair, clothing? Okay, Okay, Becker follows up. Now you say that the guy reached his arm out and shot, or how? I didn't see him reach his arm out. I just seen I heard the gunshots go off, then looked and seen this arm out. Of the Cadillac? Yeah, that's it. Could you tell, was it the left arm or the right arm? No, I could not tell which arm he was using. Hold on. Becker follows up. Was it a lot of shots? I would say more than 5. Becker asks, could you tell what kind of gun it was? Edie says no, a black gun. He asks about the Cadillac. Hold on. I want to get to the part where Edie... Okay. This is the page that puts Keefe D as one of the suspects in my eyes, where I believe Edie is he could be possibly helping the Compton PD affidavit on, I think it's the second or third question. Becker asks, okay, the arm you saw sticking out of the window, was it dark skin or light skin? And Edie Amin said it was dark skin. Y'all see that? Give me some thumbs up if y'all see that. This is what puts Keefe D as one of the suspects. Orlando Anderson as one of the suspects. Right? So my question is, Shalane, one of the 4 female witnesses, she said the passenger was light skinned. Kadafi said he saw somebody light skinned. Idi Amin is one of the witnesses that said he saw somebody dark skinned. He's probably the only witness. Yo, seriously? Yo, the fact that Edie only puts 2 people in a car, right? Edie says it's a 4-door, not a 2-door. Because remember, the 911 tape said, the 911 tape stated shots fired at Flamingo and Koval, and it was a 2-door Cadillac, not a 4-door. Can we play that? I mean, can you get back connected? Oh, this is probably, who knows who. Everything. Wow. Okay, great. Let's play the 911 tape. Let's play the 911 tape for the night of Vegas, real quick.
I was calling to report that there was gun. 911. Hi, my name is with Bell Trans. To report that there was gunfire. There was gunshots on the corner of Koval and Flamingo. You see anybody? No. Right now, I got a couple guys shot. I need medical ASAP. 13 back your location with the 2. We're at the boulevard and Hardy right now. I need extra units up here now. Extra units now. Copy. King units, can you respond to the Boulevard and Harmon? Boulevard and Harmon. Go 573. There's 3 units south 30 minutes away. We need medical to expedite. We need medical to expedite. Got a shot victim. Expediting. Control 120. We need fire department honorable to expedite the victim out of the car ASAP. We need either a crowbar or something. A possible suspect vehicle is going to be a white or cream 2-door Cadillac, newer model, occupied by 2 BMAs. Supposedly the suspect fired into the victim vehicle in the area of Flamingo. We're looking for a 2-door Cad, newer model, occupied by 2 BMAs. Last name northbound Audrey. Apparently the original shots fired at Flamingo and Audrey.
So they're not all in custody. We're still looking for just that vehicle.
I believe so. Metro Police. Here.
Flamingo. 3 units, south 30 seconds away.
Boulevard and Harmon. Boulevard and Harmon.
Go 573. There's 3 units, south 30 seconds away. We need medical to expedite. We need medical to expedite. Got a shot victim.
Expediting.
Control, bike for we need fire department, honorable, we need to extradite the victim out of the car ASAP. We need either a crowbar or something. A possible suspect vehicle is going to be a white or cream two-door Cadillac, newer model, occupied by 2 BMAs. Supposedly the suspect fired into the victim vehicle in the area of Flamingo.
We're looking for a two-door Cad, newer model, occupied by 2 BMAs, last name northbound Audrey. Apparently the original shots were fired at Flamingo and Audrey.
So they're not all in custody. We're still looking for just that vehicle.
I believe so. Metro Police. Yeah, I like that. 911. Westbound Transportation. I have a driver who was calling to report that there was gunfire. There was gunshots on the corner of Cobalt and Flamingo. Did you see anybody? No.
I'm out on one right now. I got a couple guys shot. I need medical ASAP.
13 bike, your location with the 2.
We're at the boulevard in Harmon on this black alley right now. I need extra units up here now. Extra units now.
Copy. Units, can you respond to the Boulevard and Harmon? Boulevard and Harmon.
Go 573. There's 3 units, south 30 seconds away. We need medical to expedite. We need medical to expedite. Got a shot victim.
Expediting.
Control, bike for we need fire department, honorable, we need to extradite the victim out of the car ASAP. We need either a crowbar or something. A possible suspect vehicle is going to be a white or cream two-door Cadillac, newer model, occupied by 2 BMAs. We need either a crowbar or something. A possible suspect vehicle is going to be a white or cream two-door Cadillac, newer model, occupied by 2 BMAs. Supposedly the suspect fired into the victim vehicle in the area of Flamingo.
We're looking for a two-door Cad, newer model, occupied by 2 BMAs, last name northbound Audrey. Apparently the original shots were fired at Flamingo and Audrey.
Salute. So that was the 911 tape, and in the 911 report, it was always a 2-door, not a 4-door. Idi Amin Edie puts a 4-door. With somebody dark skin. There you go. On the last line. See, Brent Becker, whatever info he had, he asked him, was it a 2-door or a 4-door? And Edie replies, it was a 4-door. So I believe from day one, Edie, it doesn't make sense. How did everybody else who was a witness saw light-skinned ninjas and Edie is the only one who saw a dark skin, right? I think even in his statement right here, he said, okay, very important to the Vegas investigation. Brent Becker asked him, okay, after the shooting, where did the car go? The Cadillac. Edie replies, I seen it drive away immediately after. After it drove away, Becker follows up. Could you see if anybody followed him? And Edie replies, no. Remember, Neckbone said Buntry went after the Cadillac. Neckbones also stated that he was not with Buntry chasing a Cadillac. According to Neckbone, he said Suge and Pac was chasing the Cadillac with a flat tire. I don't know how is that possible. It's really weird, that narrative. But if that's what Neckbone is saying, I could see why the 2Pac detectives came to his door, right? So according to Edie, nobody followed him. Can we just make that clear? I don't know if he was lying. I don't know. Edie don't even know if it turned or went straight. I told y'all he's not a good witness. Brent Becker asked him a simple question. Okay, after the shooting, where did the car go? The Cadillac. Edie said, I seen it drive away immediately after. After it drove away, my attention was to the people that were being shot at. Becker says, okay, so you didn't see if it turned or went straight? No. Come on. What kind of witness is this? Edie don't know if it made a right, left, if they parked right next to him, asking for a light. He don't know nothing. Right? I told y'all, he's not a good fucking witness. He's not. He's never been. I stand on business, first season, second season. Welcome to Discretion 304 TV. Right? This is layups. No puff on the replay. I told y'all. Edie is not a good witness. He's never been. Says it right there. Becker asks him a simple question. Okay, so you didn't see if he turned or went straight? No. That's a layup right there, right? That is definitely points off the bench, right? Straight off the bench, no puff on the replay, shooting 3 points. Edie said he don't know if that Cadillac went straight, if it turned, if it U-turned, if it did a reverse, right? He's never been. Ashley Wrench Gang was good. Yeah, he's never been a good witness. Right? Hold on. Right? So Edie, again, Becker asked him the color of the arm, and Edie in 9-6 said it was a dark skin arm. So that puts Orlando, Keefe, Terrence Brown, Big Dre, right? Because that's the only dark skinned ninjas. But I was standing on business in the first season, and I said, listen, the only trio with two light skinned ninjas, it would be Mac and Perez, right? It would be Suge's, according to Keefe D, Suge's hitman. Right? It would be Mac and Perez. Can I get them both on the screen? Nope, can't get them both on the screen. Jeez. Right? Mac and Perez. I can't get them both on the screen. All right. So the only trio, Mac and Perez and Sharitha Knight's ex-boyfriend, Kevin Gaines. Rampart, right? That's the only trio. And I would use that in, I would say, Keefe D's offense. Like, if it came down to, like, if you narrow down the Reggie boys, I would still put Mac and Perez as possible the shooters. They the only ones, and Gaines, they the only ones with a gun, with the gun game. I don't think those guys, you know, were any ones to play with. But remember, the Suge Knight, if we sticking to the idiot, I mean, we sticking to Edie's statement, right? That it was a dark skin arm, right? So you got Orlando Anderson, Keefe D, Big Dre, Terrence Brown, and Keefe D, Terrence Brown, Orlando Anderson, and Big Dre, right? For the dark skin nation, right? If we was to go with the Idi Amin narrative, right? So, including in the dark skin nation, no puff on the replay also, including in Edie's theory, not only is the South Side Crips, where, you know, those four members were dark skinned, right? But then you got to add the Kevin Gaines, the trio, because Kevin Gaines was dark skinned. But there was one person that's, I pointed him out, no puff on the replay, in the first season. There was one person that I believe him also is Ray Richardson. Cameo. Was he the fucking shooter? You gotta think about it. Suge pops up with a guy. Look how Pac looked at him. Look at the arrow in this thumbnail created in the first season. Look at the arrow. Pac is looking dead at Reynolds. I mean Cameo. Um, AKA Ray Richardson. Reynolds is the other cricket cop. Yeah, Suge pops up. Damn, the thumbnail is too. Damn. Damn. Wait a minute. Damn. Y'all can't really see him, but he's in the middle picture. Suge pops up with this dude. Pac looks at him like, yo, who the fuck are you? Right? Cameo, you see him in the Gambino picture with Reggie Wright Sr., right? We can narrow it down to say, all right, where was this ninja Cameo? He said he lied on oath under the Mike Dorsey courtroom, right? People were saying in the first season, if you see Ray Richardson, aka Cameo, you see Reggie Wright Sr. That's what they were saying in the first season. If Reggie Wright Sr. wasn't that guy bodyguard in Orlando, I don't know what is, right? But again, the Edie Amin, if we was to go with Edie Amin, right? And remember, we were saying this guy in the red hat was possibly Kevin Gaines. He was connected with this guy, had the same matching jackets. These two individuals, I believe that guy in the red hat was Kevin Gaines. The way he was, they had on the same jacket. But that's another topic. What we're saying is the Edie Amin theory, right? If we was to believe what Edie was saying with the dark skin theory, I believe Cameo will be also a candidate. Like, where did he go after the beatdown? Remember, Pac runs out, 50 blows. I counted them. This guy right here in a white hat, white t-shirt, blue jeans, blue whatever, pants rolled up, is stalking Pac. If right, he has a camera, and this whole circle, this whole time, this guy, this weirdo, is around Pac and Suge. Also, damn, don't start y'all shit. Yo, these ninjas, perfect. Okay, perfect. This is like the only picture that we could get on the screen. The guy in the number 4 shirt, where was he during the brawl? Yo, these two ninjas were together, bro. I'm gonna be the first Pac channel, right, to call it as it is. This ninja with his pants, his pants, the legs of his pants rolled up, white sneakers, hat to the back, right? This weirdo, he was in the number 4. Pac looked at him. Oh, this is a perfect picture. Oh shit, we did it. That's crazy. Look at the arrow. The guy is in a with the black sleeves, right? Look at his cheekbones, officer cheeks, right? That's crazy. Bro, that is look how Pac looking at him. He could be if we was to go with the Idi Amin theory, I would think this guy, where was he? He ran out with Suge and Pac and them, right? Pac is screaming 50 blows and then just looks at him. Look at the arrow, right? And he's just smiling, right? He wasn't in the brawl, right? I believe these two were together in some funny way. This is the last time we seen them together. And then again, in the pack out, when they packed this guy out, whoever this guy is, we said no 13 on the theory. And again, Keefe D needs to know that that wasn't his nephew. We told his attorney, get the biggest TV you can, no puff on the replay, in 4K quality, and she would see that that is not Orlando Innocent. There's no way. Especially when he fits this guy's description. Come on. Right? So, again, even if we was to believe Edie's statement, it's just conflicting stories. He don't even know if the Cadillac made a left or a motherfucking right. You feel me? Even if we said, all right, there's a lot of aspects. Suge Knight, till this day, he never answered who was this guy. Excellent thumbnail. That thumbnail with the arrow pointed to Ray Richardson. I believe that's cameo. I believe that's Richardson's his demeanor in 9-6. He just fits the whole character. Oh shit. Tammy Church, what's going on? Czar, I see you. Who else is here in the chat? Ashley Speaks. Can we get the lights up? You liking the the show? I really don't know. Can y'all even find the like button? If you just Keefe D needs to subpoena Queen B. I really believe he needs to subpoena the Queen Bee herself, Sharitha Knight. I believe the whole Teresa Swan theory was really Sharitha Knight. Right? I believe Sharitha got secrets that will bring down Reggie Wright Sr., Reggie Wright Jr. Even in the secret recordings, Sharitha, she mentions Norris Anderson. Again, this is a woman that was found in Tupac's audit. Let's not forget that. 30 years ago, we spoke about the audit. I should still have that document. Here you go. We going on 30 years of Pac's audit, right? And when he fired David Kenner and Sharitha Knight would have been exposed. Yo, Russell Poole was correct. I believe Russell. I believe Russell Poole's first theory was correct. Russell was on Sharitha Knight's neck, B. Let's not forget that. Please don't forget how Russell Poole hold on, y'all. Hold on. Yo, discretion. Yo, I said, oh.
Leave a legacy with 24/7 signature sync control.
At least we got you in your shorts finally. Good.
This guy had a stronger cheekbone structure, whereas he looked a little sterner look. That's him right there.
He still works for the probation? That's him looking at the lineup.
That's the guy that came up to me. That guy. That guy right there.
Okay, so we got a witness saying David Mack was there, and now we got a witness saying Harry Billups was there.
Definitely him, though.
Amir Muhammad, a.k.a. Amir Muhammad.
Yep.
It's amazing.
What do you make of that?
I think it's a breakthrough in the case. I think this is another example of how incomplete the investigation is and how they have tried everything or done everything to avoid the truth in the matter. And I still, in my heart, believe that these types of clues and these types of statements made by witnesses need to be thoroughly followed up on. And I honestly believe that the players that we're talking about, David Mack and Amir Muhammad, are somehow involved in this case. And the department, time and time again, has avoided the truth. And when you add everything up, what other reason could there be? The reason being is because they do not want to expose to the public that Los Angeles police officers were involved in the conspiracy to kill Biggie Smalls.
The most amazing thing in this whole story is that Officer David Mack and Officer Rafael Perez have never been questioned in connection with the Biggie Smalls murder. Neither has Harry Billups, aka Amon,
Saying David Mack was there, and now we got a witness saying Harry Billups was there. Amir Muhammad, aka Amir Muhammad. It's amazing.
What do you make of that?
I think it's a breakthrough in the case. I think this is another example of how incomplete the investigation is and how they have tried everything or done everything to avoid the truth in the matter. And I still, in my heart, believe that these types of clues and these types of statements made by witnesses need to be thoroughly followed up on. And I honestly believe that the players that we're talking about, David Mack and Amir Muhammad, are somehow involved in this case. And the department, time and time again, has avoided the truth. And when you add everything up, what other reason could there be? The reason being is because they do not want to expose to the public that Los Angeles police officers were involved in the conspiracy to kill Biggie Smalls.
Now, 21 goes salute. Now, through the test of time, Mac is still in the picture. That Amir Muhammad theory, that, I believe that Amir Muhammad theory, I believe that has been debunked sometimes. But the David Mack theory, but Russell Poole, that was him in the beginning stages. I believe towards the end when Reggie, according to John Patash, Reggie found him deceased. Right? Again, whoa, no. Oh, no. Why did it do? Yo, is this? Is this even? Can y'all see anything on the screen? Is there anything on the screen or is it pitch black? Let me see. Cause y'all, I don't know where the chat is at tonight, right? But okay, I definitely see what's on the screen. Okay, let's go to Pool.
Had a career spanned 18 years.
Effort in. It's great because eventually I think it's the journalists who are going to end up solving this case because the police departments aren't putting the effort in to, first of all, they're not listening to people. There are witnesses out there that
Regional Hicks, what's good? 21 gun salute.
are going to end up solving this case because the police departments aren't putting the effort in to, first of all, they're not listening to people. There are witnesses out there that the police never interviewed, and it just pretty much figure the police right now aren't going to do it. But what we can do is force them to do it by coming up with the information ourselves, and then getting it documented, and then taking it to the right people. And I know a lot of people that are interested in doing something about it here in the judicial system. Anyway, I mean, it's just a couple of clues away from at least Tupac's case for sure. A lot of strong evidence on that. Right now, I feel because the journalism is still interested in the Biggie and the Tupac case, I believe that the journalists are going to be the ones to actually solve this case, because right now the police departments aren't interested in pursuing either case. I think it's great that a journalist and the people out there are still interested. As a matter of fact, we just got through on current TV. They had Biggie and Tupac on there just a couple hours ago, and my partner that I'm working with never saw it, so he watched it, thought it was interesting. But anyway, I found since I left LAPD that journalism has done an excellent job to keep these cases in the forefront.
Do you think that the LAPD's priority lies in solving these murders or burying the facts of these murders?
Well, I think they would like to, if there was a possibility to solve it, they'd like to get it out of their hair and get it solved. But I think that they believe, I mean, there's so many millions of pages and a lot of work over the years has been done. And there's lots of different clues, and I think any prosecutor that actually got the case would have to sift through all those files when it should be very simple. The murder case itself is just a very simple investigation, but when you have a high-profile case, you've got like files and files, which will become discovery at trial. So it's a nightmare for any prosecutor, and it's a nightmare for any detective. That's why you got to have a little bit extra on these cases. You got to have you got to have that smoking gun and able to present that case to a jury.
Do you foresee a prosecution in these cases?
With all the different clues and different theories that have been spoken about over the years, it will be a nightmare in trial. So that's why you almost need a smoking gun, so a judge can take a look at that and say, none of this other stuff is relevant, we're sticking with this. That's what they need to do, is streamline it. But right now, I believe prosecutors and police in both Las Vegas and LAPD, I think they would love to have this thing solved, but it's a discovery nightmare. And also, you've had the Rampart scandal, you've had some corruption involved, so you're going to have like police officers saying that this is what happened, and then you're going to have other police officers saying, no, I don't think that happened that way. So you see how mixed it can be. You had certain leaders like Parks, and then you got Charlie Beck in there, and you had Bratton, and they all got different philosophies on the case. So it is a nightmare as far as prosecution, but there is a way to solve it without even going to trial. It'll be hard to do. The way we do it is, if you've got the evidence, but in the interest of justice, they're not going to file charges against the individual, even though they believe this individual is responsible. And the reason why I say that, a lot of times your key witnesses have been killed or murdered, but you have the evidence on paper, and it shows that this person is responsible for it, but we can't take him to trial because he can't face these key witnesses who are not available for court. And so I've done this before because some of my key witnesses were murdered along the way. And
What the fuck?
and it's just the way the justice system is. If your key witnesses, let's say a key witness made a statement years ago, and then you finally solve the case, but some of your key witnesses over the last 10 years have been killed.
Damn.
There's certain rules and certain laws that prevent the case from being filed in the first place, because those witnesses are no longer available and cannot face cross-examination in a court trial.
Speaking on different philosophies, I wanted to ask you about a certain one.
Okay.
There is a review on Amazon for a book called Murder Rap, written by a man named Greg Kading. In the review section, there is a scathing review from a detective, Russell Poole. Did you write that review?
What does the review say?
The review reads as follows. Greg Kading has no credibility on this subject matter. He became a task force member on the Biggie case 10 years after the fact. Kading left the LAPD in disgrace for his false testimony on a federal murder and racketeering case, United States versus...
This Ninja Pool said, what does it say? Funny dude.
Say.
The review is a scathing review from a detective, Russell Poole. Did you write that review?
What does the review say?
The review reads as follows. Greg Kading has no credibility on this subject matter. He became a task force member on the Biggie case 10 years after the fact. Kading left the LAPD in disgrace for his false testimony on a federal murder and racketeering case, United States versus George Torres Ramos, CRO 656A. Guilty verdicts were overturned in this part due to Kading's testimony. He said LAPD cleared him of those charges, but that is not entirely true. Kading also had some help writing this book from disgraced LA Times reporter Chuck Phillips. Kading forgets there are actual eyewitnesses to Biggie's killing. He spends a lot of time talking about things he knows nothing about. This is a desperate attempt for Kading to salvage his reputation. Suge Knight is a suspect, but not for the reasons Kading talks about. In closing, Kading never attempted to interview me regarding my Biggie investigation. He makes a lot of false statements about me and my part in the investigation by retired LAPD homicide detective Russell Poole.
Yeah, I wrote that. And I stand by it. Yeah, I stand by that statement. He has no credibility. I couldn't trust him to work with him on the police department. He's self-absorbed, just like the LA Times reporter Chuck Phillips, and they're working together on that book. He did. There's no question in my mind.
I feel personally that the LAPD has whitewashed the Christopher Wallace investigation by clearing Greg Kading in the Torres case. Do you feel that this has tainted the Christopher Wallace case?
Here's what happens when something like that happens, is they give him a choice to retire, resign, or leave, or we'll continue this investigation. Now, if they do an investigation, when he comes to federal court, he's representing not only the case that he's working, he's representing the Los Angeles Police Department. So internal affairs can conclude their investigation any way they want to conclude it. And he was forced to leave. And so in their conclusion, they figure they got nothing to lose. Okay, the suspects, it would be an embarrassment for the LAPD to reveal that their detective on this case was responsible for releasing this killer. Because you got to remember, this Kading worked on other cases. So if they were not to clear him and condemn him and this and that, they would have problems with all of his other cases. So it's a shame that that's the way the system is sometimes. But in my opinion, they basically just cleared it on there. And he's no longer on the police department, so they don't have to worry about him anymore. However, if they do an investigation and find he's a corrupt officer and he's lied on this, well, maybe he lied on all the other cases. They didn't want to open that can of worms.
Greg has stated that he kept a copy of an alleged confession from Keefe D. Can he take that evidence with him when he is forced into retirement?
No, he's not supposed to. You're not, unless you have a good reason. Like I say, his motivation, of course, right from the get-go was to write this book, and I believe that he and Chuck Phillips wrote this book. I mean, the guy is just he's not an honest guy. And if you I've talked to the U.S. attorneys out here that had that case, and he's like, his name is mud in the law enforcement circles. Greg Kading, he can't be trusted to testify in any case that he's involved. He investigation will find he's a corrupt officer and he's lied. So if they were not to clear him and condemn him and this and that, they would have problems with all of his other cases. So it's a shame that that's the way the system is sometimes, but in my opinion, they basically just cleared it on there. He's no longer on the police department, so they don't have to worry about him anymore. However, if they do an investigation, they'll find he's a corrupt officer and he's lied on this. Well, maybe he lied on all the other cases. They didn't want to open that can of worms.
Greg has stated that he kept a copy of an alleged confession from Keefe D. Can he take that evidence with him when he is forced into retirement?
No, he's not supposed to. You're not, unless you have a good reason. Like I say, his motivation, of course, right from the get-go was to write this book, and I believe that he and Chuck Phillips wrote this book. I mean, the guy is just he's not an honest guy. And if you I've talked to the U.S. attorneys out here that had that Kading case, and he's like, his name is mud in the law enforcement circles. Greg Kading, he can't be trusted to testify in any case that he's involved in. I mean, that's one thing you can tell him. It says he lost his credibility when they had to release a convicted killer, and I guess he was a mobster, so they had to release him.
What do you think of the 2Pac assassination films? I know you said that you're working with R.J. Bond.
Right. The ones that I did see, that's what got my attention, and I think they're excellent. I think they're well put together, and his interview techniques are excellent, and a lot of the people that were interviewed were never interviewed by the police. When clues come in, you're supposed to follow up on these clues, and RJ knows that for a fact that they haven't really followed up on many leads. So I do believe that Suge Knight and Reggie Wright Jr. are responsible. I think the evidence is clear for the 2Pac Shakur case. I also believe he's responsible. Both of them are responsible for the hit on Biggie also. But I think the evidence in 2Pac is mounting and building. If you can get all the people that for a fact that they haven't really followed up on many leads. So I do believe that Suge Knight and Reggie Wright Jr. are responsible. I think the evidence is clear for the 2Pac Shakur case. I also believe, when clues come in, you're supposed to follow up on these clues, and RJ knows that for a fact that they haven't really followed up on many leads. So I do believe that Suge Knight and Reggie Wright Jr. are responsible. I think the evidence is clear for the 2Pac Shakur case. When clues come in, you're supposed to follow up on these clues, and RJ knows that for a fact that they haven't really followed up on many leads. So I do believe that Suge Knight and Reggie Wright Jr. are responsible. I think the evidence is clear for the 2Pac Shakur case. I also believe he's responsible. Both of them are responsible for the hit on Biggie also. But I think the evidence in 2Pac is mounting and building. If you can get all the people that talked to 2Pac before his death and then some of the key people. Frank Alexander was a key person, but and a lot of his stuff is documented. You see what I mean? He's a key witness, and he's no longer here to testify on the stand in the case. So we need to take this case out of LA, and we need to take the 2Pac case out of Las Vegas, and we need to put something together and then go to somebody independent and have them look at the facts. You know, that's a shame, but that is just a reality.
That was the legendary detective Russell Poole, who, you know, a few times Russell, according to the experts, changed his narrative, but in the end they said he got it right, because according to their narrative and their documentaries, they wanted a clear Suge. But in this new era, what we learned in the first season, Suge Knight was robbing 2Pac. Not only Suge Knight was robbing Pac, but the Queen Bee of the hour, Sharitha Knight, was with them scamming ass bitches at. Right? Can we just make this make sense? Right? Russell Poole, he believed that Reggie and Suge was involved, and in this new season, we're saying, look, well, you know, again, I believe if you follow the bag, you will see that David Kenner and Suge and Sharitha had more reasons to want the shooting to go down. All right, let me go. No puff on the replay. Let me see. Can we get more Pool? Can we get more Pool on air?
Do is force them to do it by coming up with the information. Yeah, it's great, because eventually I think it's the journalists that are going to end up solving this case, because the police departments aren't putting the effort in.
Well, let's get some Pool on the airwaves. I just want to hear his first theories, because I believe he also had, I know he did. He had Sharitha Knight. Let's play Reggie real quick.
Naomi just discovered the sweet sound of earning and saving money.
Let's play Reggie Wright Jr. taunting Russell Poole.
And Russell Poole, who's sort of in charge of the investigation.
Oh man, I love that, because it make Russell Poole look like the.
Well, we had posted a deep dive about this, about the particular case, about Amir Muhammad, Psycho Mike, and Russell Poole, who's sort of in charge of the investigation.
Oh man, I love that, because it make Russell Poole look like the detective he was.
Did you know Russell Poole?
Never met him.
Never met him. But Russell Poole was sort of the main.
Well, wait a minute. That was a lie, Port. But didn't Reggie said, I think it was the same interview, that he was Russell Poole's backup, and his father. Remember, Reggie's father, Reggie, your dad, got in touch with LAPD. There go the documents right here. Your father got in touch with LAPD. But wait a minute. I thought you was Russell's backup. What do you mean you never met him?
Well, we had posted a deep dive about this, about the particular case, about Amir Muhammad, Psycho Mike, and Russell Poole, who's sort of in charge of the investigation.
Oh man, I love that, because it make Russell Poole look like the detective he was.
Did you know Russell Poole?
Never met him.
Never met him. But Russell Poole was sort of the main force behind the Biggie conspiracy shooting and so forth. And Russell Poole felt it was Amir Muhammad.
Well, David Mack, really. But Amir Muhammad for David Mack because of the crooked Rampart cops.
Right, exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. And once we did we put out the deep dive and, Dorsey really went through everything, he kind of showed that the people that were pointing the finger at Amir Muhammad were basically crazy people in prison.
Exactly.
People with documented serious mental conditions.
That were lying.
Yeah.
That had been in custody and was trying to get out of jail.
Right.
Do anything they could to either get some perks or to get out of prison early.
Right, exactly. I mean, going through this, I can see the holes in this thing.
Oh, that's why I throw jabs at Russell Poole. Ultimately, at the end, he got it right.
Which was?
But who he believes was responsible for the shooting of Biggie.
And he thought it was who?
I don't know. You know.
Poochie?
Poochie.
Yeah.
No.
No? Suge.
Oh, exactly.
Okay.
But building up to that, I don't know. You know.
Which was?
But I throw jabs at Russell Poole. Ultimately, at the end, he got it right.
Which was?
But who he believes was responsible for the shooting of Biggie.
And he thought it was who?
I don't know. You know.
Poochie?
Poochie.
Yeah.
No.
No? Suge.
Oh, exactly.
Okay.
But building up to that, you know how we used to get in trouble with Mal and the teacher say, show your work?
Yeah.
He didn't show his work right.
Right.
Granger offers...
21 salute. So, yeah, I believe Poole the theories that he had about Reggie and Suge was in on it to kill, to assassinate Pac. I believe that theory, he was right on target because David Kenner also...
Just had a few questions for you. Go ahead, ask me.
Kenner also had more motive to get Pac done and possibly Suge. Who knows? Kenner was a backstabbing sneak.
Stand by it. Yeah, I stand by that statement.
Regarding Mike, or due to Kading's test reporter Chuck Phillips for an attempt for Kading to salvage his reputation. Suge Knight, the investigator.
I stand by that statement. He has no credibility. I couldn't trust him to work with him on the police department. He's self-absorbed, just like the LA Times reporter Chuck Phillips, and they're working together on that book. He did. There's no question in my mind.
I feel personally that the LAPD has whitewashed the Christopher Wallace investigation by clearing Greg Kading in the Torres case. Do you feel that this has tainted the Christopher Wallace case?
Here's what happens when something like that happens, is they give him a choice to retire, resign, or leave, or we'll continue this investigation. Now, if they do an investigation, when he comes to federal court, he's representing not only the case that he's working, he's representing the Los Angeles Police Department. So internal affairs can conclude their investigation any way they want to conclude it. And he was forced to leave. And so in their conclusion, they figure they got nothing to lose. Okay, the suspects, it would be an embarrassment for the LAPD to reveal that their detective on this case was responsible for releasing this killer. Because you got to remember, this Kading worked on other cases. So if they were not to clear him and condemn him and this and that, they would have problems with all of his other cases. So it's a shame that that's the way the system is sometimes. But in my opinion, they basically just cleared it on there. He's no longer on the police department, so they don't have to worry about him anymore. However, if they do an investigation and find he's a corrupt officer and he's lied on this, well, maybe he lied on all the other cases. They didn't want to open that can of worms.
Greg has stated that he kept a copy of an alleged confession from Keefe D. Can he take that evidence with him when he is forced into retirement?
No, he's not supposed to. You're not, unless you have a good reason. Like I say, his motivation, of course, right from the get-go was to write this book, and I believe that he and Chuck Phillips wrote this book. I mean, the guy is just he's not an honest guy. And if you I've talked to the U.S. attorneys out here that had that Kading case, and he's like, his name is mud in the law enforcement circles. Greg Kading, he can't be trusted to testify in any case that he's involved in. I mean, that's one thing you can tell him. It says he lost his credibility when they had to release a convicted killer, and I guess he was a mobster, so they had to release him.
You are referring to George Torres.
Why Russell Poole took on
So when he was arrested for the bank robbery, Russell, and he can tell you this, probably in better detail than I can, got a lot of clues that linked David Mack to Biggie's murder and linked a civilian associate of David Mack's as well.
So it seems like it would be an open and shut case, kind of, so to speak, but obviously this did take place. Why was that, Detective Poole?
Well, during the course of the bank robbery investigation, I had interviewed the lead detective in charge of the bank robbery investigation, and he gave me a series of pieces of information that linked David Mack possibly to the killing of Biggie Smalls. One being the fact that when they did a search warrant on his house for the bank robbery, he owned a black SS Impala, and that's the same vehicle that was used in the killing of Biggie Smalls. Second of all, in his garage, which was unusual for a police officer, he had a shrine of 2Pac Shakur all over his garage. And that appeared to me unusual. Thirdly,
when you say a shrine, what do you mean?
He had posters, memorabilia, and it was well decorated inside in his garage. And gang members dressed in red, flashing the West Side sign.
And Mack was dressed in a red suits occasionally, and there were photographs of him, right, and doing the West Coast sign.
Well, the West Coast sign doesn't mean you're in a gang. I mean, everybody
doesn't necessarily. No, you're right. It means you're claiming a gang affiliation. You may not be actually a member, but
when you throw up the W,
well,
I mean, that's
the
showing
W is
videos, and that, I mean, little kids do that.
Agreed. There's a lot of people play.
And it was actually popularized by 2Pac back in days when there was a supposed
said it was the West Coast, you know.
Okay. And there, I mean, the guy's in jail now, right? But has he been charged with the murder of the notorious B.I.G.?
No, the investigation was stymied by the chief of police, Bernard Parks, and there's a number of clues that connect David Mack possibly to the killing. And I requested search warrants to be done on David Mack's home, his financials, etc., and I was denied in doing so. And as time goes on, you try to figure out, well, why doesn't the chief want to probe any further into David Mack's life? And then you find out later, I found out information came in that Chief Parks had recruited David Mack on the job. David Mack he attended Oregon University and then later on attempted to make a comeback in track at USC, and that's where Chief Parks graduated. And Chief Parks was known for recruiting athletes onto the police department. And it turns out that where David Mack did his probation, officers had contacted me and said, hey, it was common knowledge that Chief Parks had recruited David Mack on the job. And so that...
You say probation, his job probation, you mean?
Right. He attended the academy for 6 months. He left the academy, and now he goes to a specific division in LAPD, which was Southeast Division in South Central Los Angeles. Mm-hmm. And at the time he got out of the academy, I was working South Bureau Homicide, which I investigated murders in Southeast, Southwest, 77th, and Harbor Divisions.
Okay, that's the voice of former LAPD detective Russell Poole, and we have in the studio with us Randy Sullivan, the authors of the book Labyrinth, which talks about police corruption in LA, the death of the notorious B.I.G., and Tupac Shakur, and connections or possible connections with death row records, Suge Knight, and the Rampart scandal that we're all familiar with. Let me ask you this. In the book, you start off. It starts off talking about the shooting death of a police officer, Kevin Gaines. And that's how we kind of enter into this whole narrative, so to speak. Who's Kevin Gaines, and how did things really kick off and really start to unwind these findings that you have?
Talking to me?
We'll start off with Russell, and then we'll go to you, Randy.
Okay, I was assigned the lead investigator to the Gaines Liga shooting.
Now, Gaines is the guy, Kevin Gaines, and who's Liga?
Frank Liga was a narcotics detective, mm-hmm. and he was on duty. And during the course of a traffic incident, Detective Liga shot and killed Kevin Gaines, who had pointed a gun at him on the roadway. And it turned out that Kevin Gaines was living with Sharitha Knight, Suge Knight's estranged wife. And Kevin Gaines was assigned to Pacific Division at the time of his death. And 8 months prior to that, Kevin Gaines was involved in a serious incident in which he called in a 911 call at Sharitha Knight's mansion. And he responded to the scene as LAPD was investigating this 911 call. He then engaged LAPD in a confrontation and actually assaulted one of the officers. He was then handcuffed and taken to the station. Well, when they purged the 911 tape, his voice was identified as making the phone call. And
he made a call on himself?
He identified himself as the victim.
Yeah.
Of a shooting that didn't take place.
And then a couple of months later, he filed a false claim against the city, claiming that the officers had violated his civil rights. And so, right there, that was a felony crime. And
LAPD Internal Affairs sat on that information for 8 months without completing an investigation, and he should have been arrested immediately, and charges should have been filed on him. I mean, it was like a smoking gun case, and it turns out in between the time of that incident and the time he was killed, he was involved in about 4 other felony crimes. So Chief Parks was in charge of internal affairs at that time, and this case had gone across his desk, and there was absolutely no investigation done. And then Gaines happened to get killed during this one incident. So
let me ask you. Not to be cynical or anything, but was that unusual for that to happen, considering the reputation of LAPD? And I mean, we've done dozens of shows, and over my years as being a radio host, I mean, there's all these incidents about LAPD brutalizing folks, covering up things, settling out of court, etc., etc. Was that unusual types of steps to be taken, for internal affairs or higher-ups to protect officers? I mean, it seemed like it happened under Chief Gates, maybe under Willie Wilson. Was it Willie?
Willie was chief when,
Willie,
when that
right.
happened, when this went down.
And, now Bernard Parks. I mean, what makes this situation so unique, considering the reputation of the Los Angeles Police Department?
Well, Kevin Gaines was a member of an organization that was founded by Chief Parks, Oscar Joel Bryant Foundation. Oscar Joel Bryant was a police officer in the 70s who was killed in the line of duty. And Chief Parks formed this organization. It was a black police officer organization. And during the course of our investigation of this incident, Gaines and Liga, members of the Oscar Joel Bryant Association were dispatched the following day to go out and find witnesses in our case, and they actually found witnesses that we'd already interviewed, and actually 5 officers entered the business of one of the key witnesses in the case and tried to get her to change her original statement. And she actually called the police saying, hey, some police officers came in here trying to get me to change my story and this and that, and they intimidated me. So, I took her statement and I immediately reported this up the chain of command. And virtually nothing was really done about it. The woman ended up quitting her job and moving out of state following that incident. And there really was no effort after that to identify the other 4 officers.
Right. Well, again, the question. These
are facts, and I take each case individually. And the fact remains that Chief Parks was in charge of the original Gaines investigation, and nothing was done about it. And to this day, I believe if Gaines would have been handled the professional way by arresting him and charging him with a crime, he'd probably still be alive today. And that incident would have never occurred. The gun that he used to point at Frank Liga was his service pistol.
Right.
So,
well, the initial question, and I appreciate you giving us the background on that, was that unusual for officers to be protected in questionable and outlandish incidents to be covered up at times? It seems like that has often been the reputation.
I think it was different in this case. I think what you're talking about historically was cover-ups of police brutality.
Yes.
Typically, but not of actual serious, criminal activity that is separate from, brutality under the color of authority. I mean, these guys.
On that was that unusual for officers to be protected in questionable and outlandish incidents to be covered up at times? It seems like that has often been the reputation.
I think it was different in this case. I think what you're talking about historically was cover-ups of police brutality.
Yes.
Typically, but not of actual serious, criminal activity that is separate from, brutality under the color of authority. I mean, these guys were committing, they were committing street crimes. They were like,
in questionable and outlandish incidents to be covered up at times. It seems like that has often been the reputation.
I think it was different in this case. I think what you're talking about historically was cover-ups of police brutality.
Yes.
Typically, but not of actual serious, criminal activity that is separate from, brutality under the color of authority. I mean, these guys were committing. They were committing street crimes. They were committing the kind of crimes you expect, gang members to commit, not police. And the way that investigation was handled, we told you the story of that group of police officers. They were led by one officer, a man named Derwin Henderson. There's an order comes down from Internal Affairs. Okay, well, let's put a tail on Henderson because, for one thing, they realized the guy's driving an $80,000 Mercedes, $55,000 a year as a police officer. First day, the IA guys follow him to 3 bookie joints, illegal bookie joints.
Right.
Report comes back up to the chief saying, he went to 3 bookie joints. You'd think that would lead to an expanded investigation, and under Gates, whatever else you want to say about him, it would have. I mean, he may have covered up people, and he did, in fact, sometimes cover up people being abusive to people with dark complexions. There's no question about that. But he would not have done what Parks did, which sent an order down saying, cease the surveillance, stop the investigation.
Well, see, I wouldn't know, not being inside the LAPD, but the shows we've done in the past and with all the different organizations that we've had on over the years, it would suggest that Detective Poole, feel free to comment on this because you were a member of LAPD for a very long time. There seems to be that for decades, there's always been some sort of corruptive force or forces within LAPD. And so when I hear the story, I'm like, wow, I'm not surprised.
What it is, Davey, is there were the abuses of authority that happened. I mean, it did break along racial lines. There were abuses of authority that happened under white administrations, which, like I said, generally had to do with brutality.
Right.
But under the first black administrations, I think that they cured that problem. But or at least they tried to. I mean, actually, I don't think they did cure that problem, but they certainly made it clear that they're going to be less tolerant of it. But they opened the door on even worse abuses. And, it's like a pendulum swinging in order to correct, the fact that it was way too far this way. They didn't stop it at midpoint or even try to. They let it go too far. I think the assumption
would be that if you have all black officers, that somehow the corruption would end. But, some of the biggest problems that people have had, at least if you listen to a lot of songs, sometimes the black cops are worse than the white cops.
And I think what Parks did initially, I don't think he had some sinister conspiracy in mind. He made some decisions that were an attempt to protect the reputations of other black officers because that was very important to him.
Right.
And he backed himself in a corner.
Also LAPD though. That would be a major embarrassment.
That's true. He was protecting the institution too, and you'll never know, how much the racial part of it had it played in it.
Well, that's what it all comes down to. You got to remember, this was an unusual case. You had one cop killing another cop, okay? And one happened to be white, and the other happened to be black. And that right there is very unusual. And I don't think it's ever happened in the history of LAPD, this type of incident. So it was a very unusual occurrence and a very intriguing case to investigate. However, that's what it comes down to. Chief Parks, if he was to investigate Gaines fully, Mack fully, Perez fully, it would expose the fact when he was in charge of internal affairs, all 3 of these individuals were involved in incidents that would have exposed the fact that we had several officers connected to death row records who had been at the time these incidents were happening, the FBI was investigating death row for racketeering and drug trafficking. And it turns out that Rafael Perez was a major dope dealer.
Now, Rafael Perez was the main witness in the Rampart scandal.
Witness, he was the main suspect. He was a major dope dealer, dealing dope on duty, off duty. And, there's suspicions he was involved in some of these other incidents that we've already talked about. However, him and Mack used to be partners together, and they were involved in some officer-involved shootings together. And, there's a long list, and it was covered in the book. I mean, this book is just amazing to me, and he covered so much so many areas, and nobody's really been able to do it.
Well, that's why it's called Labyrinth. I mean, and I hope people are following all the names and things, because we're kind of jumping into it. And for people that are just tuning in, it's 94.1 Hard Knock Radio. The voice on the phone is former LAPD detective Russell Poole. We also have Rolling Stone editor and author of the book, Randall Sullivan. And for people who are going, what's all these names? We're talking about a book. With about 400 pages. It's pretty lengthy book. 300 plus. 300 plus. Okay, we'll give or take a few, but it's it chronicles a whole lot of different things, which leads to the title. Right. You're talking about the Rampart police scandal and some of the origins of that, possible origins of that. You're talking about possible people who were behind the murders of popular rap stars 2Pac and Notorious B.I.G. And you're talking about the very complex situation surrounding Death Row Records, which is headed by Suge Knight, and the complexities in the music industry. Let me just kind of jump ship a little bit, and we'll come back to the police part. You talk a lot about Death Row. And one of the things I got from the book, which you guys seem to be surprised about, was the fact that in its employment were officers, LAPD officers working for Death Row. Why was it so unusual, and why were you so surprised
about that? The department had an official policy that officers could not work for Death Row Records. The one officer they ever acknowledged knowing worked for Death Row Records. He was Death Row Records. He was the only one who actually got admitted. So he was really the only one who was slightly honest. That resulted in a huge investigation. They made him promise that he would never work for Death Row Records again. Then they found out he was in Vegas with Tupac at the time of Tupac's death. So, but what it is that.
Why weren't they allowed to work for Death Row Records?
Because Death Row Records was considered to be a criminal organization. I mean, Suge Knight, as you know, has a long criminal record, and a lot of the people connected most directly with Suge Knight had long criminal records and of major criminal violence.
Suge's entourage was constructed of the blood gang members in Los Angeles. Suge Knight was a very powerful individual, and what made him powerful, he had access to just about the entire blood gang, and he also had dozens of police officers in his back pocket. He also had a district attorney in his back pocket who was actually handling one of his probation cases. He also had connections with the Compton mayor, and I have a picture of Suge Knight and Mayor Reardon embracing each other. So he had access also to Maxine Waters. And there's a lot of, she's a councilwoman in Los Angeles, and she actually stopped a narcotic federal probe in Texas involving her husband's best friend, and actually stopped midway through the investigation.
Right, but I'm trying to keep it connected to Suge and Death Row situation. One of the things, what I said when I started the question was that it seemed like in the book you guys were surprised. And the reason why I'm saying that is because being in the music industry, it was pretty common knowledge that police officers worked not just for Death Row, but they work for a number of artists and institutions and labels and often contracts.
Well, it's not illegal to moonlight and work security for a record company. It was only illegal to work for this particular record company.
The reason why it seemed like I was going, why I'm so surprised, because it was kind of chronicled in articles. There's been a few articles where people have gone like, I went to Death Row and there were police officers there. You know, the vibe is probably the most...
Right. The hip-hop press produced a lot of this material, no question about it. And an author named Ronan Rowe compiled a lot of it in his book, Have None Will Travel.
But I mean, when this happened, though, did those raise...
But those cops that they were talking about then, supposedly they were from Inglewood, Compton. They were from these other police departments that... Compton was a totally corrupt police department, but still, even they eventually instituted some controls on Death Row, but they didn't have a formal policy saying you cannot work for Death Row Records, and if you do, you'll be fired.
So it was just a situation about LAPD couldn't work for them. So let me ask you, Detective Poole, what was so, other than the fact that you had LAPD officers working for Death Row, How did this connect itself to maybe the Rampart scandal and the possibilities of death row being involved with the killings of Notorious B.I.G.? Did these police officers have any sort of connection? Did they turn a blind eye? Did they have the information? What's the story on that?
Well, over the years since 1995, there's been a series of violent acts that have occurred, and at every turn during the investigation, it was found that officers, not only from LAPD but other agencies, were actually witnesses to these occurrences, and however did not remain at the scene to give their testimony to the case
or intervene.
If they did, they would be fired. And like Randall said earlier, it was a criminal organization. It'd be like officers working for the Gambino family, moonlighting for the Gambino family. That's exactly what was going on. Death Row Records was trafficking narcotics, and there were dozens of blood gang members who were on parole and who were working alongside these police officers while providing security. So, it was a major conflict of interest and a major officer safety problem. If you can imagine, by day you're working LAPD, busting blood gang members, and at night you're working alongside them.
Let me ask you this. Again, and I'm not trying to paint a clean picture over this, but what you describe, with say somebody like a Suge, having access and all these other things, it doesn't seem that unusual. Again, in the sense that, I mean, that
there's never been a record company president who was, or CEO who was remotely as thuggish as Suge Knight or as violent as Suge Knight did things. I mean, he wasn't.
Well, now I don't. You cover Rolling Stone, right?
I'm not saying that there were a bunch of other executives at large corporations that funded Death Row that knew what they were doing and tacitly supported it. I'm not saying that's not true, and those executives were white.
But I mean, the history of the music business. I mean, it's always been a thug type, and we often in the music business, although at this point in time, some of the old heads that are there now, it's very hard to draw those direct connections.
In those days, it was mob money. I mean, sure, the mobs were funneling money in, but they didn't have they didn't just actually have a mobster running the company. They would at least have a beard of some sort. I mean, Suge Knight was the president of the company, and he was the number one thug.
Well, I think that would be. Again, if you have a good conversation, and a conversation like on radio, to sit there and go, well, is Tommy Mottola connected to the mob? Tommy that heads Sony, and we can infer things, and we can get back, and I couldn't say it on the air and avoid being sued by libel, but everybody in the business, but hold on a second, everybody in the business knows, just like you're not going to roll up on Suge, you're not going to roll up on the Tommy Mottolas and anybody else. And it's always kind of been understood in the business on certain levels that cats who run these labels, they definitely have access, so to speak. They can come at you either way, either legally, they can talk to the politicians, local police department. They definitely have access, so to speak. They can come at you either way, either legally, they can talk to their politicians, local police department, et cetera, and handle you that way. Or if you get too far out of hand, they can have it done on the other thing. I think with the situation with Suge, it's just a lot more visible. Maybe he's not as good as camouflaging it.
Puffy's just as visible as Suge, and Puffy wasn't. Puffy might be of a piece with Tommy Mottola or any of these guys, but Suge is of a different order.
Okay.
I think Suge's a much more sinister and dangerous person than Puffy is, or Tommy Mottola.
Well, I think one smiles and one frowns.
Well, Suge was hands-on. He'd get somebody in a room, urinate into a champagne flute and say, either tell me what I want or drink this. The other guys, if they wanted that done, they had somebody else do it.
Yeah, but again, that is one of the reasons we say the music business next to politics is probably one of America's most dirty businesses, meaning that a lot of gangsterism and crime and all this other stuff goes on behind the scenes. And it doesn't often come to light. But I mean, you 20 years in the business, you know.
There's okay. Well, let me think of it though. Think of Frank Sinatra and Dean Martin had gotten whacked by the Italian mob in 1957.
Okay.
You really think that their murders would have swept under the carpet the way Tupac's and Biggie's have? You think 5 years would have gone by? These guys are shot on public roads in the presence of dozens of witnesses, and we still can't make an arrest. I don't think that would have happened in an alternative
if the
case.
Police are involved.
If the police are involved, and I do think
then it might be swept under. But let me ask you this, because we could talk about the music business all day on this. Detective Poole, why do you think the murders of Tupac Shakur in Las Vegas and Notorious B.I.G. in L.A. was swept under the rug? And I ask you that question. Also, are you working with Notorious B.I.G.'s mother to maybe try and facilitate the lawsuit that she's just brought up against LAPD, or to at least get to the bottom line as to who is really responsible that you can hold accountable for his killings?
Well, being the former lead investigator, I was the only one that maintained contact with Mrs. Wallace, giving her updates on the investigation was going. When I was taken off the case, I kept it alive by always trying to keep it. I was actually trying to get the leadership, and that includes Chief Parks, to look at these clues. The case had not been solved, and there was a series of clues pointed in the direction of at least one or two police officers involved in our department. Mm-hmm. And so, as far as helping Mrs. Wallace, I'm certain that I'm going to be subpoenaed in her lawsuit. There's no question about it. The woman deserves a full probe of the death of her son, and it hasn't been done yet. It's been ignored. A lot of this information has been out for quite a while now, and they still haven't gone out and re-interviewed these witnesses and interviewed some witnesses that haven't been talked to yet. There doesn't seem to be any interest in doing that. As far as the Tupac Shakur, I'm sure, David, you've done your homework on that. Tupac Shakur was becoming a very outstanding actor, and it came to Suge Knight's attention that Tupac was going to leave Death Row Records, and the evidence shows you just don't leave Death Row Records and get away with it.
Now, Suge emphatically insists that he wasn't.
Oh, you know what? You can listen to Suge all day, and that's been the problem. Suge Knight has had like a key to the city. He and others in the Death Row organization have been listed as suspects in several violent crimes, and then amazingly enough, the case does not get filed. And I go back to the fact that there was a district attorney that he worked with privately. This district attorney rented his Malibu home to Suge Knight and David Kenner. And so,
anyway, there's no question Tupac was going to leave Death Row. I just want to make that clear. I mean, if you have any question about it, call Charles Ogletree, who's probably the leading black attorney in the United States, and he'll tell you that he was hired to do was get Tupac away from Death Row Records alive. That was essentially his job.
And Tupac knew if he was going to be killed, he knew it was going to be somebody from the Death Row organization. And when you really probe into that incident that night, it all started with the fight. The Mason fight, and then this incident at the casino involving this Compton crip named Orlando Anderson.
Right.
And the information I received was that incident was staged to provide a motive that would make the Compton Crips, the number one suspect in the murder of 2Pac Shakur. You got to remember, after that incident, Suge's entourage leaves. They go with
The black attorney in the United States, and he'll tell you that was he was hired to do, was get Tupac away from Death Row Records alive. That was essentially his job.
And Tupac knew if he was going to be killed, he knew it was going to be somebody from the Death Row organization. And you know, when you really probe in that incident that night, it started with the fight, the Tyson fight, and this incident at the casino involving this Compton Crip named Orlando Anderson. And the information I received was that incident was staged to provide a motive that would make the Compton Crips the number one suspect in the murder of 2Pac Shakur. You got to remember, after that incident, Suge's entourage leaves. They go to Suge's house for an hour or two, and then they plan this a trip to Suge Knight's nightclub in Las Vegas. And at the last moment, security measures were changed. And I got this information from security guards that were working for Suge Knight. And many of those security officers were police officers. And it all comes down to what good are these armed police officers anyway, because none of them chased the guy. None of them fired their weapons. If they did, they'd be fired from their job. So, you know, all in all, when you look at this case, there was Suge knew he could make a lot of money with Tupac out of the picture. If he leaves, there's going to be problems financially for Death Row.
So this isn't just Russell Poole's theory, by the way. I mean, both of Tupac's main bodyguards, Kevin Hackey and Frank Alexander, have told the police that Suge set Tupac up to die. Right. Snoop Dogg has told the police that Suge had Tupac killed.
But and I don't think Suge hasn't been charged. Suge hasn't been.
Snoop Dogg had a walkie-talkie, Randall.
There's going to be problems financially for Death Row.
So this isn't just Russell Poole's theory, by the way. I mean, both of Tupac's main bodyguards, Kevin Hackey and Frank Alexander, have told the police that Suge set Tupac up to die. Right. Snoop Dogg has told the police that Suge had Tupac killed.
But and I don't think Suge hasn't been charged. Suge hasn't been convicted.
I don't think there's not enough evidence yet to do it.
And in all fairness, you know, there are people that are also connected with the camp, you know, that say otherwise, you know, have publicly said otherwise, et cetera, et cetera. But, you know,
Suge has publicly said he got hit by bullets fired at Tupac's car, and we know for a fact he was not. So, you know, the fact that he lied about that is a matter of absolute fact.
Yeah, but these things were printed in the paper.
No, he said it on national television.
Yeah, I know, but these were also printed in the paper, you know, that this happened. So
yeah, I interviewed the Las Vegas detectives, and I heard Suge Knight's interviews. He didn't get interviewed till about 5 days after. He ran. He didn't stay and give his statement originally. Then he got
paper.
But
no, he said it on national television.
I know, but these were also printed in the paper, you know, that this happened. So
yeah, I interviewed the Las Vegas detectives, and I heard Suge Knight's interviews. He didn't get interviewed till about 5 days after. He ran. He didn't stay and give his statement originally. Then he comes back 5 days later with a statement.
Hello? For people that
didn't want the same after the O.J. Simpson case, they weren't going to have a big trial in regards to this.
Okay.
I mean, that's just a...
Damn, why they cut Russell off right there? He was cooking.
He was back 5 days later with a statement.
Paper.
But
no, he said it on national television.
Yeah, I know, but these were also printed in the paper, you know, that this happened. So
yeah, I interviewed the Las Vegas detectives, and I heard Suge Knight's interviews. He didn't get interviewed till about 5 days after. He ran. He didn't stay and give his statement originally. Then he comes back 5 days later with a statement.
I'm mad they cut Russell off right there.
Hello? For people that just tuned in.
After the O.J. Simpson case, didn't want the same, but good friends with the mayor, Oscar Goodman, I believe. Okay? I mean, that's just a fact of life. And then Suge Knight is good friends with the mayor, Oscar Goodman, I believe his name is.
Yeah.
And so...
Let me ask you this. We keep going back to, Suge's political connections and what have you. That is not unusual. Or tell me, is it unusual? If I have a multi-million dollar, hundreds of $1 million a year business, give me access. I mean...
Catherine, what's good? 21 gun salute.
Come on.
You know what? I can really care less about that. Power to him. Right. What I cared about is we had our own police officers on our force connected to his company who employed gang members who were killing people every day in South Central Los Angeles. I mean, I've got a list right here of unsolved murders in South Central in a 10-year period. It's over 1,500. And so, this type of feud between East Coast, West Coast, actually feuded a war in the Los Angeles and Compton area, and during the course of time when Suge Knight was coming up and he was starting the company, we had a series of murders that involved up-and-coming rappers, and at the time, information we were receiving was if you didn't come to death row, you weren't going to be in business. And so Suge had a lot of power. All he had to do was hire the right people, and in any chain of and somebody else would take care of it for him. That's how powerful he was. And so I could really care less on how Suge made his money. My job was to try to solve the Biggie Smalls case and make the connections, put the dots together.
Now,
it involved police officers on our department, and the citizens don't want our police officers associating with gangsters off duty.
Now, let me ask you this. Will all this come out if you're subpoenaed to go to trial?
Oh, I hope so. I mean, I've been, I've gone to every law enforcement agency I can, and they're all afraid to probe this incident.
Not because of Suge.
Yes.
Law enforcement is afraid of Suge that much?
Oh, not so much now, but man, he was a powerful figure. He was, and he was like hands off, and that's part of the motive on why this thing hasn't been fully investigated.
But now in Los Angeles, there's quite a few Suge who are hands off.
But I've never seen. I got to tell you, I mean, whether it's deserved or not, we can argue that point. But I've never seen anybody inspire fear like Suge does. When piece came out, at virtually every movie company in LA made contact, wanted to do some kind of a movie, and every time the big obstacle was Suge Knight. And I remember I was talking to Nick Cassavetes, who's a big screenwriter in LA, and I said, "Well, what is it? Is it the racial politics of it, or are they afraid of Suge?" And he said, "They're afraid of Suge, man. They're all afraid."
What about you guys? How come you, Randall? I mean, you didn't come in here with an entourage.
No, because I don't think that I'm what.
I mean, Suge comes to the Bay Area.
I don't. Yeah, I know he does. I don't think that I'd be Suge's target. There's no record of him going after a white journalist. Or, I mean, the fact is, all of his victims are black. So that alone, I figure, gives me some amount of.
This is I mean, Vanilla Ice.
Well,
I mean, supposedly
Vanilla Ice was roughed up at most. I mean, he wasn't. Suge didn't hurt him really, and I think that may have been a little exaggerated.
So if you was a black journalist, you think
I would. I'd be more afraid if I was black, to be quite honest, because there's no.
I mean, that right there is an intriguing investigation.
Are you concerned because if this does involve fellow police officers, which you say, and if these charges and these allegations, all the things that you raise in the book, hold to the facts, I mean, if I was sitting here, I'd be like, look, there's a lot to be lost here. So what's keeping Russell Poole, moving and shaking at a time when you could pull down an entire house of cards and really just, do a whole lot of discrediting for, the country's #1 police force?
Well, you know what? I lost something big. I lost a job that I love very much. And during the course of all these investigations and them trying to block the investigations from moving forward, certainly caused a great deal of stress in my life, and that includes my family. And I had to take in consideration my family because of it. They were living with me, going through the stress of trying to solve this case. You know, Christopher Wallace is not here to testify, so it is my job to go out and find the witnesses and put the puzzle together for the family members of Christopher Wallace. And never in my career was I ever told to stop an investigation or stop from probing into a case. And you know, I had to find out for myself on why. And you have to really check out the information. Randall says it all just about in this book.
3 days later. It's 1938.